In the NBA today, we're witnessing the most talented era of basketball, as there's so much more skilled players now than before, and in turn, there's so much more young players that can be future NBA stars that get forgotten about since there are so much other talents in the league. So in today's video, I decided I'll be naming 4 young, underrated NBA players who I think will be stars in the future. Before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want weekly NBA content, and tell me my goal of 1,000 subscribers. And comment on this video, start a conversation with me as I do respond to all comments, and play that intro. The first player on this list is someone who people have been saying is going to be a star for a long time, and not a lot of people have forgotten about him, but he's still underrated, and he had an amazing season this year despite the Raptors being bad, and that guy is OG Anunoby of the Toronto Raptors. This season, OG has averaged 60 points and 5 rebounds, shooting 48% from the field and 39% from 3. That's a huge leap from what he was doing in previous seasons, and in every year of his career, OG has made a significant improvement, because in his rookie season he averaged 5 points, in his second season he averaged 7 points, and then in his third season he averaged 10 points, but now this year he jumped all the way up to 16 points. But what makes me think OG can be an all-star level player is the fact that at this right moment, OG is one of the best defenders in the league in my opinion. I believe he's a top 10 perimeter defender in the league, as he's a very quick and strong forward who can defend point guards, shooting guards, small forwards, and power forward. OG can guard all positions at an elite level because he has the quickness to stay in front of most guards, and he has the strength to stay in front of most forwards. I think as he develops, he can maybe turn into a top 5 perimeter defender in the league and be a player of Kawhi Leonard's prime self on defense, because there's honestly no reason to think that he couldn't, since he has a similar build to him and he has just as much strength and quickness and length. But if OG was only a defensive player, I don't think it would make him an NBA All-Star, but it would make him a really valuable player in the league. But the fact that OG is also a legitimate offensive player makes me think that his offense can be good enough to where if it's combined with his elite defense, he can be a star. Because as I said, this season he's been averaging 16 points on amazing efficiency, and I think that if OG could get some confidence and just some natural improvement in his game, he could be a 20-point scorer or a high teen scorer who does it on amazing efficiency and in the flow of the offense. And to me, a guy who's one of the 5 best perimeter defenders in the league, combined with a guy who can give you 18 to 20 points on amazing efficiency, is an all-star level player. But with the amount of talent in the league, he might not be a multiple-time all-star, but I do think he will make the team a few times, and he'll be a player who people know is an all-star level player, but due to the talent in the league, he can't make it. Kind of like a guy like Drew Holiday, Tobias Harris, and Mike Conley, along with others. So OG has a lot of potential. The second player on this list is a guy who was the youngest player in NBA history to score 50 points, and that guy is Kevin Porter Jr. of the Houston Rockets. And Kevin, in my opinion, has the highest potential out of everyone on this list, and that's mainly because he's the one guy who I think actually has superstar potential. Porter Jr. is a guy who's often compared to James Harden because he plays in Houston, because he uses his left hand, and he also has a deep offensive bag, as he has a bunch of moves that he can do, from crossovers, step backs, the whole package. And in only his second season, Kevin Porter Jr. has looked like a guy who has better moves than 90% of the league. And right now, what he's struggling with is his efficiency, but I think as his year goes on, he will take smarter shots and will just be able to hit more shots. But ever since joining the Rockets, he's been averaging 16 points and 6 assists while shooting 42% from the field and 31% from 3. So it's clear he needs to fix up his efficiency, but if he does that, I honestly think he can be a 20-point scorer or maybe even a 25-point scorer at good efficiency. Because if a player has that deep of a bag and that much confidence, I can't see him not being a star. Another thing with Kevin is that he's a really confident player because he's not afraid to take the big shots and he's not afraid to take any hard shots, and he always believes they're going to go in. And another thing with Porter Jr.'s game that no one knew he was good at was passing the ball. But since joining the Rockets, he's been a good enough passer to where he could legitimately play the point guard position, which is a huge thing since coming to the league. And in his first season, it looked as if he's going to be a guy who mainly just scores the ball. But if he's a scorer along with a passer, I honestly think that can make him an all-star, because if he's averaging 20 points and 7 assists, he definitely can make the all-star team. The Rockets clearly got a steal by getting him from the Cavs, and I believe they have a future all-star at worst. The third player on this list is Darius Garland of the Cleveland Cavaliers, who I think is a player who has quickly been forgotten about after his rookie season, which was a bit disappointing, but he's low-key been having a great second season in the league, as Garland has been averaging 17 points and 6 assists, shooting 45% from the field and 39% from 3. Already Garland is putting up numbers like that in his second season. I honestly think he will be amazing 2 or 3 years from now, because Garland is a guy who has very good handles, which allows him to be able to get to the basket and create a jump shot and create layups, and he's a really solid 3-point shooter who can even hit them off the dribble and hit difficult ones. But Garland is more than a scorer, as he's surprisingly a really good passer who always finds his teammates, and he does this on good efficiency, so it makes me believe that Garland can be a star who is a guy who could average somewhere around 20 to 22 points per game and 8 assists on good efficiency, which in some seasons will be good enough to make the all-star team. I don't know if he's going to be a guy who makes the team every single season, but he definitely will be someone who people know is an all-star caliber player. And I'm not gonna lie, last season I didn't necessarily give up on Garland, but I completely forgot about him. But I have to give him respect this year. He's shown enough that makes me think that I believe he's a future NBA star. The fourth and final player on this list is Keldon Johnson of the San Antonio Spurs. And Keldon is a guy who I think can be an all-star, because you have to realize that he's only in his second season and he's averaging 13 points and 6 rebounds, shooting 47% from the field and 33% from 3. And seeing those numbers, you would think Keldon is a center or a power forward, but surprisingly, he's only a 6'5" shooting guard, and he's already one of the best guard rebounders in the league. And it's truly just based on his hard work and his will for rebounds. Keldon is just an extremely hard-working player that seems like he never gives up. His biggest strength on offense is definitely his slashing ability, as he's great attacking off the dribble all the way to the basket, and he's just a super strong guy, so he could finish through most contact, and he's a very athletic player, so he can finish in transition and elevate for mean dunks. Keldon's a pretty solid defender right now, but he's a guy who can make players think twice before going at him, just because of how strong and fast he is. He still makes some mistakes when he's not guarding the ball in his rotations and stuff, but overall, he's definitely not a bad defender, and he's above the average. And Keldon is only 21 years old. I think in his prime, he can be a guy who averages 20 points and 8 rebounds while being a solid 3-point shooter and a good defender. And to me, that's the NBA All-Star. But I do think Keldon has a small chance to be a superstar. I just don't want to overreact in only his second season. But anyways, guys, that's for the video. Let me know whether or not you agree or disagree with what I said in this video. Drop a like on this video to help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want weekly NBA content and to reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers. And comment on this video, start a conversation, as I do respond to all of my comments. And I'm out.